Hello, Soulpreneur life family and friends. I didn't have a chance to go live this morning, so I'm catching up today right before I go finish watching movies with my daughter and doing all of our Friday night things. And I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what we've been talking about with the deepening of self-care, the look at it in a different way, right? Let me see something really quick. I want to post this. I don't think it's going to let me. Anyways, the art of self-care really allows you to... let me get focused. I'm over here trying to mess with comments and trying to get this thing situated. It strengthens your intuition, right? It strengthens your knowing and your confidence in what it is that you're doing. And a lot of the healers and holistic business owners and beautiful souls that I do work with when we're working in either mentorship and building their business, or we're working through energetics and healing and their Akashic records and things like that, there's a theme that comes up. And a lot of times it's this fear of being seen. And I know a lot of my topics in the past have talked about this and covered it, but I want to share it from a different perspective and just kind of let you guys take it and run with it how you will. When you practice the form, the art of self-care, that's healthy boundaries, that's taking care of yourself, that's eating well, drinking your water, doing things that move your body and get your energy flowing and bring you joy, bring you laughter, that replenish you. They don't deplete you, right? They don't give you that feeling of, I have to go do this thing, or I have to do this, or I can't have fun or do this until I do that, right? You know the things that I'm talking about. Some of them are unavoidable, but many of them we can outsource if we allow ourselves to let go and relinquish some of that need for control, that need for perfection, that need for whatever it is that's inside of us. It's unique for each of us, so that others can show up, right? They may fail, and we have to learn to be okay with that and trust in our talents, skills, and abilities that we'll recover. They may do amazing. They may do something so much more fantastic than you could have ever imagined, but you'll never know unless you let go of some of that control, right? So the art of self-care, it looks different for each of us, but it strengthens the trust that you have with yourself, with your higher self. It allows you to become more clear as to what it is your body is telling you. Your intuition is often that very first thought, like when something comes up, that very first feeling, like I know for me, my stomach, my gut, it tells me stuff before my mind, my thought patterns and processes and all of that can even catch up. But when you start believing in what you're feeling, your gut says no. Your gut's screaming, hollering yes, before your ego and all of your other aspects of your being start weighing in, and your fears, which fears we've learned, right? We've either learned them from other people or through experiences, but it doesn't always mean that they're true. And so sometimes we limit ourselves in our lives, in our businesses, in our healing, in our relationships, in our self-care because of those. But that doesn't mean that we can't rewrite it or eliminate it or whatever we need to. And when you start strengthening that bond with yourself, you start strengthening the confidence that you have in yourself and your intuition and those gut feelings that you're having. And you start showing up and being seen, and you're navigating through this story. You're the blueprint, right? You navigate through this story. You are taking the steps. You're understanding what's working, what's not working. You're writing the roadmap to help someone else. You're the living, breathing example. There is something so magnificent about lived experiences also being your teacher. It's something that other You can't learn in a book. Some things you just can't learn in a book, right? You can't learn sitting in a classroom. You can't learn watching over Zoom. You have to go out and live and do. And so I want you to just kind of pause and think about it. How are you taking care of yourself outside of the aesthetics, which may feel good, but like the inside of you? Sticking to we make gardens of ourselves, the landscape inside that is you, that reflects outwardly in your creations, in your relationships, in your business, in your healing. Creating healthy boundaries, creating conversations or space for conversations that light me up is really important. Allowing myself time to get up before my house wakes up, to have some time to myself, have my tea or my coffee, whatever I choose, and be really intentional in my gratitude, in my awareness, in my grounding. And that's important for me. Or late nights by myself, dancing in my kitchen and moving my body and listening to music that makes me feel good and happy and joyful, allows for me to show up for the people in my life. It allows for me to show up for me. And for a really long time, it was so easy. It was so easy for me to dismiss my needs. And you guys have heard me say it before, especially when I was on active duty and a wife and a new mom and in charge of my own commo shop and soldiers and equipment and all the things. My needs kept getting pushed further and further back. People say, oh yeah, I got put on the back burner. Like, honey, I wasn't even on the stove. I was damn near out the kitchen. My needs were so far gone, right? But learning how to take care of and nourish myself allowed for me to be a better friend, allowed for me to be a better mom. It allowed for me to balance my energy, my nervous system, my mind, my heart. So I was able to show up fully as myself, or more fully as myself, and not so like my friends are getting the overstimulated Kendra, the short snippy versions of Kendra, because I'm overstimulated, I'm ungrounded, I'm numbing with drinking and alcohol and all these other things because I'm in pain and I'm dealing with migraines and I'm dealing with all of these other things, right? Like, for those of you who don't know, when I was on active duty in the military, I was like super soldier, but as far as like just pretending like pain didn't exist, I was hit by a car. I would jump from airplanes, but I had a bad exit, and then I just kept pushing through like nothing was hurt. And it wasn't until I had my daughter that my body just finally said, no ma'am, like, you need to sit down. You need to address these things that you've been ignoring for literally years. And I had no choice. My ego and my pride and my fear of being seen as weak, as less than, as a woman, because in the military, in the units that I was in, especially the 82nd, it was like, oh, it's a girl, so she's going to be going to sick call, or just all of these stigmas and stereotypes and conversations that are had, and I didn't want to be seen as that. So I neglected myself. I neglected my self-care. I neglected my needs to be perceived as something else. And although I crushed it, I killed it, it came with a price. And as women, we often take on the burdens and the brunt of caring for other people past our maximum capacity in ways that go unnoticed, unappreciated, or underappreciated. And I'm not saying that men don't do that to a degree as well. It's just the way that our society is set up here and now. It's expected even of little girls. Little toddler girls are expected to nurture the baby and love the baby, and the little boys are expected to go outside and play with Hot Wheels and have fun and be free. And so there's certain things that are implanted in our minds, in society's minds and culture, in our culture, American culture, that some of us are kind of immune to until we hit that point where there's no choice but to recognize it and make changes. And when we notice it, that's when change can happen. That's when we can start receiving support and asking for support and getting things wrong and getting things right and seeing what works for us and giving ourselves credit for when things go the way that we want them to go. And my therapist reminded me recently that it's also important that when we have that fear or anxiety about something, to acknowledge when something didn't happen that we feared happening. Because it strengthens us. It builds our confidence. It reminds us, like, hey, nope, that little voice, that little feeling, it's incorrect. My battery alert's going off. So I want for you to really give yourself the opportunity to understand that you have the power to gain the clarity surrounding your own purpose through self-care, through allowing yourself to receive support, through sitting down, through allowing ego to sit down and chill and not be a know-it-all, to not be so prideful that you can't listen, you can't hear anything new, or you can't hear anything old with a new voice or a new perspective. I've been there. And allow yourself to continue to grow in ways that strengthen your legacy, strengthen what it is that you're creating. Oh, I hear the kids playing outside. It's late, but I think they're out there playing. But anyways, my phone's about to die. It's late. I'm going to go watch something about the Mitchells movie or something with my daughter. And for me, that's another form of self-love and self-care. I read something a long time ago about self-love and self-care being the greatest form of rebellion. And I love that because it is. I'm a walking, talking testament to that. If you can resonate with any of this, I want for you to comment. I want for you to share this if you know one person that this message can help, or if you found this message helpful or impactful or inspiring, or if it touched you in some way. Let's share it. And I want to invite anyone who is open to it to jump on. If you're not open to the Akashic Records explorations and healings and things of that yet, jump on a discovery call with me. Soulpreneurlifellc.com. Everything is on there, from reviews, all of my bookings and things of that nature. And we can talk about how you can create a ritual, create a routine within your life that is supportive and nurturing for you to build the landscape within you that pours outwardly and strengthens your intuition, strengthens your clarity for what it is that you're creating in your life, in your relationships and business, for what you're healing, for generational healing too. I mean, goodness, what I'm doing, my daughter sees. And I'm so grateful she didn't see the version of me that was on active duty, just like almost manic, but like super successful. So I thought it was going right. I thought it was good, but it was so unhealthy, right? So she gets the version of me that's learning, that's open to learning and growing and expanding. And it lets me be more available for her, for myself, for my clients. How would that feel for you? Anyway, share in the comments, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. I hope that you guys have a great Friday night.